Join me as I dive into the fascinating world of ancient Egyptian dynasties and see if I can uncover the real history behind them. In this video, you'll explore the dynasties of ancient Egypt, highlighting their significance and how they shaped one of the world's earliest civilizations. Many people have a limited understanding of ancient Egyptian history, often focusing only on famous figures like Cleopatra or Tutankhamun, missing the broader context of the dynasties. The reality is that these famous pharaohs were just a small part of a much larger story, a story that spans thousands of years and multiple dynasties. Ancient Egyptian history is so much more than just a few names and dates. It's a rich tapestry of culture, architecture, and politics. We're going to dig deeper and explore the complexities of ancient Egypt and how the different dynasties contributed to the development of this fascinating civilization. By examining the dynasties, we can gain a better understanding of how ancient Egypt evolved over time and how it ultimately came to an end. Many of us learning about ancient Egypt in school, but it's often presented in a very superficial way, with a focus on the pyramids and mummies, but not much else. This can create a misleading impression of ancient Egypt, implying that it was a static and unchanging society, when in fact it was a dynamic and evolving civilization. By exploring the dynasties, we can see how ancient Egypt changed and developed over time, and how different pharaohs and dynasties contributed to this evolution. Delving into the dynasties of ancient Egypt allows us to see the different periods of history, and how they built upon each other. The early dynastic period, for example, laid the foundations for the Old Kingdom, which in turn paved the way for the Middle Kingdom. Each of these periods had its own unique characteristics, and its own notable pharaohs and achievements. By examining these different periods, we can gain a deeper understanding of how ancient Egypt developed, and how it ultimately came to an end. The study of ancient Egyptian dynasties is not just about learning dates and names, it's about understanding the complexities of human history, and the ways in which different societies develop and evolve over time. Delve into the key dynasties of ancient Egypt, discussing their contributions, notable pharaohs, and how they influenced art, architecture, and governance. The Old Kingdom, which lasted from around 2613 to 2181 BCE, is often referred to as the Golden Age of ancient Egypt. This was a period of incredible cultural and architectural achievement, during which the pyramids of Giza were built, and the Great Sphinx was constructed. The pharaohs of the Old Kingdom were incredibly powerful, and they used their power to build massive projects, like the pyramids, that would last for eternity. During the Old Kingdom, we see the emergence of a strong centralized government, which was able to coordinate massive projects like the construction of the pyramids. This period also sees the development of a strong system of governance, with a powerful pharaoh at the top, and a hierarchy of officials and priests below. The Old Kingdom was a time of great cultural achievement, and it laid the foundations for the rest of ancient Egyptian history. The Middle Kingdom, which lasted from around 2040 to 1750 BCE, is often referred to as a period of rebirth and renewal. This was a time when ancient Egypt was reunified, after a period of division and chaos. The pharaohs of the Middle Kingdom were able to restore order and stability, and they used their power to promote the arts, and to build new temples and monuments. During this period, we see a renewed focus on the cult of Osiris, and the importance of the afterlife. The Middle Kingdom was a time of great cultural and artistic achievement, and it laid the foundations for the New Kingdom, which would follow. The New Kingdom, which lasted from around 1570 to 1085 BCE, is often referred to as the Empire period of ancient Egypt. This was a time of great military expansion, and ancient Egypt reached the height of its power and influence. The pharaohs of the New Kingdom were incredibly powerful, and they used their power to build massive temples and monuments, and to promote the cult of Amun. During this period, we see the emergence of a strong and centralized government, with a powerful pharaoh at the top, and a hierarchy of officials and priests below. Reveal the moment when Egypt transitioned from the Old Kingdom to the Middle Kingdom, marking a significant shift in power dynamics and cultural achievements. The transition from the Old Kingdom to the Middle Kingdom was a time of great upheaval and change. The Old Kingdom had been characterized by a strong centralized government and a powerful pharaoh, but as the kingdom began to decline, regional governors and nobles began to gain more power. This led to a period of instability and chaos, which lasted for over a century. Eventually, the pharaohs of the Middle Kingdom were able to restore order and stability, and they used their power to promote the arts, and to build new temples and monuments. The transition from the Old Kingdom to the Middle Kingdom marked a significant shift in power dynamics, with the pharaoh no longer holding absolute power. Instead, we see a more decentralized system of government, with regional governors and nobles playing a greater role. This shift in power dynamics had a significant impact on the culture and society of ancient Egypt, and it paved the way for the New Kingdom, which would follow. During this period, we see a renewed focus on the cult of Osiris and the importance of the afterlife. This is reflected in the art and architecture of the Middle Kingdom, which is characterized by a greater emphasis on the tomb and the afterlife. The Middle Kingdom was a time of great cultural and artistic achievement, and it laid the foundations for the New Kingdom, which would follow. Summarize the essential points about the dynasties and their lasting impact on history, emphasizing the continuity and change throughout ancient Egyptian civilization. Ancient Egyptian history is a complex and fascinating subject, and by examining the dynasties, we can gain a deeper understanding of how this civilization developed and evolved over time. From the early dynastic period to the Ptolemaic period, ancient Egypt was characterized by a series of dynasties, each with its own unique characteristics and achievements. Throughout ancient Egyptian history, we see a mix of continuity and change, with each dynasty building upon the achievements of the last. The pharaohs of ancient Egypt were able to adapt to changing circumstances, and to promote the arts, architecture, and governance. By examining the dynasties, we can gain a deeper understanding of how ancient Egypt developed, and how it ultimately came to an end. If you enjoyed this exploration of ancient Egyptian dynasties, be sure to check out our video on the wonders of ancient Egyptian architecture and leave your thoughts in the comments below.